I have to say, I watched this, and every single time I've seen these trailers, and I watched the 3 episodes, absolutely just went straight in to watch them last Thursday when they were released. Frankly, it just makes me feel more contempt for this couple who are at a time when people are genuinely worried about putting their heating on and paying their bills and really worrying about how they're going to go about their day-to-day lives, moaning about their lot in life as they live in a millionaire enclave in California, invading their own privacy and moaning about how hard done by they are. Did you have the same reaction?
I think it's fair to say I have a more nuanced reaction than you, Julia, on this particular issue. Look, I'm not a tribalist. I'm not sort of like a pro one side or anti the other side or anything like that. I think that, they are now free of the shackles, if you like, of royal life. They have the right to make as much money as they can or as they want to. They can do basically anything they like. I suppose I applaud their entrepreneurial ambition in that sense. I think it's very sad what's happening. I think it's, on a personal level, I think it's obviously very sad when any family falls apart, particularly in public. I don't envy William and Kate at all, or the king and queen. And ideally, this wouldn't be happening. But they have the right to tell their story as they see it.
Well, their truth.
The other royal family have the right to respond.
Well, that's it. A lot of people say the royal family can't respond. Of course, they can. They can choose not to. And again, it's very difficult if you get you're denying this and denying that. And then people say, "Well, why haven't you denied this story?" There was a reason why they tended to only speak through palace sources. But you say it's very sad. I have to say, look, I'm very sad for anybody. I wouldn't wish, as I say, a million times a year, I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy being born into the royal family. If Harry and Meghan had chosen, they fell in love, they got married, and they chose to go and live on the other side of the world, drop their titles, have a private life with their children, and just quietly make some money doing something fairly non-controversial, which they could easily have done, made plenty of money. She still had earnings. She's got money, millions in the bank from being an actress. They could have had a nice life, and I don't think anyone would begrudge them that. I certainly would not have. But the thing is, you say they're free of the shackles of royal life, but they're exploiting their royal life, their royal titles, to make money that way, whilst criticising the very institution that provides them with that income. When they sell their souls, their most private text messages, when they moan publicly, hanging out, the dirty laundry of their own family, it's the royal family, but it's their family, like that, dissing their own, their children's grandfather and everything, and uncle, you are into different territory, aren't you? I mean, it's not sad. It is a choice. These are very rich, very privileged people who are moaning about their lot in life, criticising people on the other side of the world, and making out that they're victims. People who fly jets are not victims of anyone, even though if it was gained under false pretences. The main message I get from this, and I hate myself for it, but I will watch it, is that, this is a couple who are incredibly privileged. And yes, life's not been perfect, and I think being in the Royal Goldfish Bowl is horrific. And I'm sure they've not been treated very well in some ways, and I'm sure they treated other people very badly. But do they know how other people are living their lives? Are they aware of how hard most people's lives are right now? Not just in this country, but in America as well, around the world. People in Ukraine. I mean, not saying you're not allowed to moan about your lot, but this woe is me thing from people who travel around, who wear £1,000, gloves and wear a different outfit every day and live on private jets, living in a multi-million-pound mansion, telling us that their life is terrible. I just don't think it's going to sit very well.
No, it's not. And to begin with, I think in the first episode, they show pictures of living in Nottingham Cottage, which is a house within the grounds of Kensington Palace. And they say, Oprah Winfrey turns up and says it's so small. Well, yes, I mean, it may be, and had low roofs. It's just an old place. So, again, you just think, well, you're living actually probably with plenty of people around just to manage your life. It's not that tough. Well, it's when they moved in
Frogmore Cottage. You look at the pictures of it. This is bigger than most mansions. Yeah. I'm sorry. I mean, Harry, Meghan, shut up. Just shut up. Stop whinging. Stop moaning. Your lot in life is you're in the top 0.00000000001% of privileged, lucky people on this planet. Shut up. Rupert Bell, thank you to you. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. He's going to carry on watching it. We're forcing him to do it. He's going to be asking for danger money next. To a party in December. There's tinsel trees. Maybe everyone's having to have a choice. The turkey meal, mince pies at the end. It's a Christmas party. It should be called that, shouldn't it?
Well, yes and no. It's not specifically related to Christmas. There's no particular hymns. They're not holding a massive sense. They're not reading from the Bible about, what Jesus did. There's no specific relation to Christmas. It's just a festive It's a festive celebration.
What is the festival we are marking?
Originally it was a pagan festival that the Christians kind of jumped on the bandwagon of, but
Yes. Every single religion has some sort of midwinter sort of celebration, basically to get people through the darkest days of winter. I was raised by atheist parents as an atheist, raising an atheist child. We mark Christmas. The tree goes up, full Monty, everything. For us, it's a Christmas tradition. And to a certain extent, it's a British tradition. We are raised in a Judeo-Christian culture where we mark the religious festivals of Christian religion, because that's the origins of our history and our values and our culture and our laws. So we do Easter, we do Christmas. For a lot of people in this country, it's not about little baby Jesus being born. It's just about celebrating a Christmas a festival of the country. So why would anyone be offended? No one is having this festival for any other reason, right? Or going for a Christmas party or Christmas meal for any reason other than the fact it's Christmas. So why would you not use the word Christmas?
That's a good point. But you just said about British traditions earlier. The putting up of the Christmas tree is actually a German tradition, funnily enough. But in the civil service, I had a quick look at the workforce statistics. Of those who declared, there's about 210,000 non-Christians. That's those who don't hold a faith or those who are Jewish, Hindu, Muslim, but only about 150,000 Christians. So if you did it on the numbers of those who have declared,
oh my God,
it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense.
Just have a festive celebration.
But honestly, I've got numerous, Jewish friends, for instance, who and Indian friends and Sikh and Hindu religion who all celebrate Christmas. You know why? Because they live here in Britain. And there are numerous schools where, but most of the children are from a Muslim heritage. They still have a Christmas tree up. They sing hymns. It's a British tradition. This country is... I'm still constitutionally, legally, a Christian country, whether people believe in God or not. Just because someone isn't of a Christian religion doesn't mean they don't celebrate Christmas. Let's talk about the Cambridge Dictionary, which has decided it's no longer a dictionary. It's now just we'll just make up whatever we think a book, as opposed to actually providing definitions of real words that real people actually use and understand. They have decided to change their definition of what a woman is. You know what a woman is, and I know what a woman is. Keir Starmer doesn't know what a woman is, but a woman is an adult human female. That's what it means. That's what it's always meant. That's what everyone understands it to mean, except a few woke activists on social media and now at Cambridge Dictionaries. They now say that it includes anyone who identifies as female, adding the word can mean an adult who lives and identifies as a female, though they may have been said to have a different sex at birth. The entry for male, by the way, has been updated to include individuals who had a different sex at birth. Let's talk about this with the Maya Forstatter, Executive Director of Sex Matters. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Julia.
I can understand some idiots on Twitter not knowing what a woman is. I find it pretty hard to cope with the idea that a man who might be our next Prime Minister in 2024, Keir Starmer, doesn't know what a woman is and doesn't know whether they have a penis or not, or whether or not they might be someone who might have a cervix or not. People who write our dictionaries, who decide tell us what words actually mean, they don't know what a woman is. How worrying is this?
I don't think it's that worrying, Julia.
Really? I'm furious about this.
I'm furious about something else. The first definition in the dictionary is still adult human female. And, dictionaries record words that people use, and people use words in all kinds of different ways. Some people, say they're a woman in poetry, self-expression, however people want to use words. Dictionaries record all different kinds of uses, but they still say the primary meaning is adult human female. I'm much more concerned about changing the meaning of the word in the law than in the dictionary. The dictionary can say what it likes, but what matters is what the law says, and that's really where Rishi should step in.
Well, and this is the key thing, isn't it? I mean, we're seeing actually, we've seen changes. The Scottish government, and the Scottish Parliament voting through changes. Basically allowing someone, again, it's a Wednesday morning. I identify as a different sex from the one I am, a different gender, and therefore I can gain all those rights and access to those safe spaces for that sex. And it's just on my whim and what I say. Now, that's going to be different north of the border to south of the border. When you have those legal changes, that does make a real difference. But don't those legal changes drive things like the Cambridge Dictionary doing this redefinition? And don't the redefinitions in the dictionary, don't they also drive the legal changes as well? Doesn't it actually work both ways? Let's talk about those NHS strikes upcoming and all the other big stories today with Andrew Gwynn, Labour MP, and Shadow Public Health Minister as well. Good morning to you, Andrew.
Good morning, Julia.
Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Now, I mean, obviously a lot of people are dealing with the rail strikes today. We've got Royal Mail strikes. We've got lots going on. But a lot of people are focused on the nurses' strike on Thursday, which looks like it is going to go ahead. Ambulance workers going on strike next week as well. Reports today that the Health Secretary, Steve Barclay, had those talks with the Royal College of Nurses Chief Executive, Pat Cullen, last night. But they didn't reach any agreement because she says they need to talk about pay. He says the one thing he won't talk about is pay. If Labour were in government right now, what would you be doing?
Well, we'd be sitting down with the unions and talking about everything that needs to be put on the table. I mean, why on earth is the Health Secretary refusing to negotiate with nurses? Patients already can't get treated on time. Strike action is the last thing that they need. It's the last thing that we need. Yet the government is letting this happen. Julia, a negotiation is precisely that. You have two sides sitting together, everything on the table, and you thrash out a compromise. You thrash out a deal.
What is the compromise? What is the compromise?
Negotiation.
They've been offered under 5% and they've asked for 19%, the nurses. They're not expecting to get 19%. You know that. They're not. We all know that. What is the compromise? Because if pay is still on the table, as opposed to what the government says, which is they've gone to an independent pay review body. Now, unless they say, as was suggested actually by our former Health Secretary, Stephen Dorrell, on my show the other day, actually they went back to the pay review body and said, can you look at this again, given the rate of inflation, and decide a fair deal? If pay is still on the table, what would be a fair and reasonable compromise?
Well, I think there's all kinds of things that could be put on the table. Stephen Dorrell's suggestion is one. It may well be terms and conditions or another. It might. There's a whole range of things.
No, but pay. No, but the key thing. No. Answer my question. Because the key issue was Steve Barclay says he won't discuss pay, and the Royal College of Nurses say the only thing we need to discuss that you won't discuss is pay. What is Labour's solution? Because what I hear from a lot of you and your colleagues constantly is there needs to be a fair pay settlement. You need to sit down and talk. OK, what are you talking about? What would be a fair and reasonable compromise on the settlement?
Well, firstly, Julia, we aren't in government.
I know.
You
want to be, and you could be in a couple of years.
Absolutely, but we are calling on Steve Barclay to do what he hasn't done since the summer, and that is to actually sit down and negotiate.
Yes.
We want to avert these strikes.
Yes, and what would be the number that would be a reasonable number?
Well, I can't promise that that what the Royal College of Nurses and the other unions want is something that we can deliver. Wes Streeting said it almost certainly isn't something we can deliver. But what we would do, we're not going to make promises we can't keep. We would negotiate. We would be trying to find a deal to stop the strikes from going ahead, and we wouldn't be giving up, which is what the government's doing.
Okay, so you believe? I mean, from this, if pay is still on the table, a higher pay offer could be affordable and could be made by the government, because a lower pay offer ain't going to hack it. So if you're saying it's still on the table, it must be a higher pay offer. How much higher than the government has offered through the independent pay review body would be a reasonable and fair settlement?
Well, firstly, we're not in the negotiations. Secondly, there are no negotiations, and that's the crunch problem here, Julia. There need to be negotiations. We need to know how far the unions will move. We need to know how far the government will move. We need to know whether anything else can be put on the table that will satisfy both sides. The fact that this has been brewing since the summer, Julia,
What's stopping?
the Health Secretary has not met.